Which way? Good?
OCD.
Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome back for our adult Sunday school class. We will be continuing Psalm 119, and we will be going over ZAIN or ZAIN, depending on your pronunciation of the letter. But before we do, we have a quick pop quiz. And I want you to keep track and answer in your head, and you can figure out how well you did or didn't do. That's completely on you. You don't need to share. First question. What animal did I open the lesson with today? Second lesson. What was the main text? Third question. What caused hope? Fourth question. What book and chapter did we reference for the eightfold ministry today? And the last question, what is our pilgrimage? So I hope you all got hundreds about the lesson that I'm about to go through. Today I'm going to start talking about fish tanks. So if you guessed fish, you may have gotten it right. I don't know if anybody's ever put together an aquarium for a home, but there's a right way and a wrong way. And I can tell you that I've never, well no, I think once after killing a bunch of fish, unintentionally, I did it the right way. Did you know you're not supposed to buy the tank the same day you buy the fish? Who'd have thought it, right? It's like a hamster. You go, you buy the tank, you throw some stuffing in, boom, done. One shot. You're not supposed to do that with fish tanks. You know, you're actually supposed to let the water sit there for a little bit, add some chemicals to get rid of the chlorine, put some rocks down. Did you know you're supposed to clean those rocks or glass balls? You're not supposed to put that extra dust and contaminants in because you don't know what the factory had. Depending on the fish you want, you might not want to put those plastic plants in there because they might rip up the fins. If you have a betta fish, you might actually want something with a broad leaf because I found out they like resting on them. And while the betta might be fine in that small bowl, they actually like open spaces. Or how about the size fish? They say 1 inch per gallon, but that's full grown. So when you get that little goldfish, that's supposed to get 12 to 18. You're supposed to have 12 or 18 just for that fish. That's great if goldfish weren't so gross. They create so much leftovers that you're supposed to double or triple at minimum their water, or double or triple your filtration. I found this out because we had a cichlid tank. We set up a 50-gallon tank with cichlids, and cichlids are gross eaters. They tear things up, and you're supposed to overpopulate because in the wild they're overpopulated. And you're supposed to run triple filtration. And what's the point of filtration? Can't we just fill it up and add some air bubbles so they live? No, you got to clean that water and keep the contaminants out. If it was in the wild, you know, God already set up a system. But we want to bring them indoors, we have to try and mimic that. And did you know there's bacteria that eats the leftovers, that cleans it so the tank's clean? And unless you buy stones or have stones that already have that kind of bacteria in it, it takes 3 weeks to get that kind of bacteria into a tank. So you're supposed to get a fish tank, set it up, clean it up, and just let it run for 3 weeks with nothing in it. Like you're crazy. Tell everybody that's your pet fish, and just sit back and enjoy the chaos that ensues. But you have to establish it. There has to be something built. And even then they say, good, go get some guppies. Why guppies? Because, well, if you have guppies and you love them, I'm sorry, but they're throwaway fish. They mass produce, but they're the cheapest fish, and you know what? They're hardy. They tend to live through a lot of stuff. So odds are they'll live through the whole process of getting extra bacteria. which is great when you put the cichlids in there because it's free food. But you have to establish it. You can't just throw stuff into it. There has to be a background. There has to be an establishing. There has to be a fortifying of the tank. And even then, you still have to maintain it. If you have the right fish, the right filtration, are you giving them the right food? Some fish won't eat stuff that goes to the bottom. Some stuff will only eat stuff that's on the top. Other fish, I don't know why, will only eat it if it's falling to the bottom. So then now you got to say is, okay, what am I feeding them and what kind of fish? Do I need fish that are going to eat off the bottom? Do I need fish that are going to eat off the top? Do I need fish in the middle? Just give me the bait in the bowl. It's a lot simpler. Maybe I'll put a little plant in it with the roots, and then, it's a self-closing cycle, and I never have to worry about feeding it, and the water takes care of itself. And that starts with, remember the word unto thy servant, upon which thou hast caused me to hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. The proud have had me greatly in derision, yet have I not declined from thy law. I remembered thy judgments of old, O Lord, and have comforted myself. Horror hath taken hold upon me because the wicked that forsake thy law. Thy statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night, and have kept thy law. This I had because I kept thy precepts. And he starts with the word, remember the word unto thy servant. Who needs to remember? We've gone over this in multiple versions, so I'm not saying that to call it on you guys. It's just we're finding the same pattern being established through Psalms 119. And I say it every week because I'm still partly astonished that every single week the pattern's still there. Is remember the word unto thy servant. And we know the psalmist has already declared that he is the servant of the Lord God Almighty. That he is the servant of Jehovah. That he is the servant of the one true living God that we know revealed as the Lord Jesus Christ. But he says, remember the word. The master does not need a call to remembrance. But sometimes that servant needs to say, remember me. Because it needs to be recalled to the servant, the dependence. Because sometimes that servant needs to declare that hope. Sometimes people get excited about stuff. You ever have somebody come up to you and they start telling you something because they're excited? Same thing. It's, Lord, remember thy promises. I'm living in it. I am thy servant. I'm doing what you told me. It's almost like the psalmist is playing, I need this job. I need this job. And what that makes, the story that I'm referencing in my head, which makes sense here, not out there yet, is anybody go to work and on the way to work, your mantra is, I need this job. I don't want to go, but I need this job. I don't want to go, but I like having a roof. I need this job. I like eating. I need this job. Sometimes the mantra is what gets us through the day, isn't it? I need this job. I don't need the stress. I don't want to go here. I don't want to be here, but I need this. Sometimes that's all that we hold on to is, I need this job. Remember the word unto thy servant. But he goes on to say it's thy servant. There's a relationship. There's already an existing order established. The servant is not saying, remember what I've done. There's a difference. There's a phrase I heard or read, honestly everything jumbles, but it says there is no reward for doing what you are supposed to, but you are rewarded in doing it. There's no reward for doing what you need to do, but doing the action itself is rewarding to us. We can't earn his grace. We can't earn his love. But doing those things that he wants is rewarding to our soul. It's blessings to us. It's a call to God's word. The servant is to work for the master. The servant working holds on to hope given by the master's word. Hope, as we discussed last week, isn't just a warm, fuzzy feeling, but is eager anticipation of fulfillment. That's expecting something to happen. Your word, Master, you have proven it to me. How many times do we say something and it doesn't come true? I've been guilty where I've told my kids, I would like to do this today, and it's taken as a word, and by the things that happen, we can't give it to it to that day. So I say, we can't do it, but I have to do it next day. And seeing the disappointment in that child's eyes. And feeling like a horrible person. It's like, no, I really wanted to do that, but life happens. But we never have that disappointment with our Lord. Because His word is always true. It always is going to come to pass. And that's His hope. And He continues in verse 50 is, this is my comfort. How comforting is it to know that what He says is going to happen is going to happen? There's many things in life where like, oh yeah, you're going to get it. It's definitely all you. And then you turn around and you're like, what happened? Oh, this person showed up with the cash first, so I gave him the car. I know we had talked about it, and I was going to give it to you, but they had cash. You know, cash makes no enemies. Let's be friends. So I sold him the car, but, you know, I'll look around for you. I'll let you know if I see anything. But the hope in His word was a comfort to the psalmist. That's how he was comforted. And I don't think the level of comfort varies to the level of affliction. His comfort is always there. His comfort doesn't change. Our ability to perceive or notice does. Because sometimes it's not until we've hit in rock bottom and broken both legs and smell almonds that we start saying, you know, Lord, I'm going to call on you and I see how good you are to me. It's not until everything else has been scraped away that our eyes can finally open up and see. And not only was he comforted because the word quickened him. And I don't see anything about affliction stopping. There's nothing in here that says the word unto the servant stops affliction. Affliction comes, regardless. But His word provides hope that it will end. And then the end of it will be better because of Him. You know, it's possible to survive affliction and end up numb and indifferent and uncaring and dead inside. You might be alive, but you're dead. I've made it through. I don't know if I'd make it through again. That's not what he's talking about. Because he says it's the comfort in my affliction, but thy word has quickened me. Not only am I comforted, I am alive when everything else seems like it's falling apart. We sing that song, It Is Well With My Soul. You know, until you've actually faced those things, you can't sing it and understand what it means to say, it is well. It's not until being broken that you can see His true goodness and that it is well. And He quickens. 51 says, the proud had me greatly in derision, yet have I not declined from thy law. The proud is the ungodly, the insolent, the ones who seek after their own paths, who are their own governors. Well, they think they're their own governors. They're either going to serve God or mammon, but they think they're their own boss. Those who choose their own path instead of seeking the Lord's have had me greatly in derision. Now, I didn't know what derision meant, so the best one that I found was the feeling of oppression. The example was the feeling laughed at, a state of being derided. Wow, I love when they use a definition that it includes the word that they're trying to define. Very helpful. But it's being scorned, it's being mocked. It's being picked on mercilessly. The ungodly have persecuted me, is what the psalmist is saying. Yet have not I declined from thy law. I haven't declined, I haven't moved away. I haven't been separated. I'm still on the path. You know, the thing about decline, that the word used can actually mean separating or pulling apart. Does anybody have a knitted grandma blanket? Or remember one? We have one or two in the house. I'm just trying to think. There's one, but it's not knitted, and there's a constant fight for that in our household of who has it. But you ever take a look at one of those knitted blankets? If you pull them apart, don't you start seeing the holes in it? You can start poking your finger through, and if you rip one thing, everything starts unraveling. But I also have the imagery here is I haven't declined thy law. I haven't stretched your law to look for loopholes. I've kept your law guiding my paths. I haven't looked for the gray areas. I haven't looked for the easy way outs. Despite the persecution that has come to me, despite others mocking me, I haven't taken the easy way out. I haven't tried to get away with something. I'm steadfast by your law, the black and white. There's no ambiguity. And he continues, I remembered thy judgments of old. I remember the judgments of old. I recall what you have done for me. The psalmist would also be referring to God's delivering the people of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And he says, O Lord, that's referring to Jehovah. He's talking about the God who brought them out of Egypt, the God that brought them to a land flowing with milk and honey, the God that cleaned out those enemies, the God that provided judges and pulled them back to them. A big God, an omnipotent God, an all-powerful God, an all-knowing God. But also the God of the psalmist. When he can think back of thy judgments of old, but I can also think back of the judgments that you've had in my life. How I want no one other than you to be my judge. How that your mercy and love is there for me. And that's comforting, isn't it? That he is our judge. That it's not somebody that's pushing a political stand or political view and actually sticking to law. Amazing concept. And the next verse really threw me for a loop. Because it doesn't come across, I don't have the imagery in English that it has the imagery here. It says, horror hath taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law. Horror hath taken hold upon me. Some translations have it indignation or a burning wrath, and I guess that means we have our license to start cutting down anybody who's turned away from your way, Lord. Right? We could throw on the armor of God and start swinging that sword. Right? That's what we're supposed to do? This says it, right? Horror hath taken hold of me. That horror, that burning desire, indignation, how dare they? And it's not. That imagery of horror is that tempest, a wild storm, has caused me to burn within my heart. I have turmoil. Did you ever see the ocean on days it's beautiful, you can see for miles and it's calm? Did you ever see it in a storm? Waves everywhere, chopping, wind, rain sideways, dark clouds, low visibility. Even the fish who can swim, I don't know how they do it with all that water being tossed around. I'd want to go to the calm waters. But that tumultuousness, that full storm, he's saying, this burned in my heart. But not because of the wicked. I didn't have the indignation. I didn't have this burning. I didn't have this because of something that was done to me. But because they have forsaken their law. And what I see is a man who is moved, or woman, the psalmist here, who's moved. And it just tears him apart to see someone walk away. Because to forsake a law, you'd have to be a part of it. Otherwise, you just ignored it. But forsake is to step away from it. But I see that burning sorrow. And I also say that because in Psalms, of course, Let's see. When I copied over my notes, I lost the reference. But further in Psalms 119, I'll have to get back to you next week with the exact references. But the psalmist actually says, is it brings tears to his eyes for those who have left. It is with great sorrow for that. That sorrow is not the vindication that we so like to put on our shoulders. That vindication we like sitting there with the sword of the Spirit. Is it our sword or the sword of the Spirit? It's his sword. But we think this is right to just start polishing it as if it's our own. Sister Lisa talked this morning, we should be more worried about that shield to withstand the fiery darts. I think of the group of soldiers, you want to walk in uniform. You don't want to break in line. If one gets up or one gets ahead, that's easy pickings. I can take him out and break the line. Instead, I see lockstep standing there, and that shield not only protects you, it protects everyone with you. It protects the line. That line breaks, there's problems. The psalmist has discussed the word causing life, that causes comfort, hope, staying power, the judgments of God and what he has done. To see the wicked forsake the law, we want to invoke that righteous judgment. And immediately I start hearing, the beast will make off with your children. He'll come after them in the night. No, we're not safe until his head is mounted on the wall. I say we kill the beast. Kill him. Right? And then we want to start singing, it's time to take some action. And it's not. And if that's what we feel in our spirit, the action we need to take is getting on our knees and repenting. Because that eightfold ministry mentioned in Ephesians 6 starts with God. And it names preachers, teachers, apostles. But when it gets to the saints, it's for the edifying of the body. And last I checked, the body doesn't cut stuff out. Stuff fails, but the great physician handles it, not the body. Ephesians 4:32 and 5:2, kind of the conclusion of what he says, and be ye kind one to another. Okay, so there's no violence there. Tender-hearted, stop me if something goes haywire. Forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. Be ye therefore followers of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also hath loved us and hath given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling savor. I think that emotion, that horror, is appropriate to have that burn, because it should cause uneasiness when the law is forsaken, when someone walks away. But that should be directed inward. Of if this can happen, what prevents me? And it's only God.
Amen.
When that turmoil is burning in your soul, it's, Lord, I am uneasy. I do not want to fall away. Hold me closer. And it's not that he is going to get any closer. He's already there. It's remove the barriers that prevent me from hanging on to you, Lord. Let me get closer to you. In Psalms 119, it continues in verse 54, thy statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. You know, songs are great for emotions. They really draw emotions out, don't they? If you're not feeling happy, you can throw on some rap, or you can throw on some rock and roll, or you can throw on some screaming metal. You know, it does. If you listen to that kind of stuff, you get angry. It's very easy to. There's certain classical music that is actually good for working out because it does raise your blood pressure. It does make you want to speed up. There's stuff that slows down. Was it Beethoven? They say is good for studying math because of the rhythms and stuff behind it actually get your mind in a pattern that makes learning math easier. Music does manipulate the emotions. How do we express that, though? We sing, don't we? Singing brings out our emotions. Don't believe me? Some of those crazy rock people are screaming at the top of their lungs because they want to get some teenage angst out. I don't know about you, but there's times I want to go outside after talking to the kids, and I want to scream my lungs out. But we sing songs because of what's in our heart. And I tried really hard to think of a song that we sing that's out of the Bible, but I am not musical. And I know there's some. Doing a Google search was on Eagle's Wings is from Psalms 81. I know we sing them here. I can't remember for the life of me. I'm sorry. But we take Bible verses and we sing them. Because sometimes saying them isn't enough. The emotion it invokes, that it pulls out of us, makes us want to sing. And it's have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. In Genesis 47:9, Jacob says unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. Hebrews 11:13 says, they all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Saying thy songs, I'm singing them in the house of my pilgrimage. I sing them in what houses my soul. These songs, your word, is what has maintained me. These are the things that I have said because they bring out you. And that's not even to consider the oral traditions, that it's a lot easier to memorize songs than it is written word. It just is. Because you can get a cadence, you can get a rhythm. But those songs have been in the house of my pilgrimage. I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night, and have kept thy law. I have remembered thy name. And his name wasn't revealed fully, was it? But he says, I have remembered thy name. I have known to call on Jehovah. I have known to call on Yahweh. I remember thy character, that whose name I call on, I know the character of whom I am calling on. Not just during the day. Is anybody afraid of standing out in the snow right there and someone randomly sneaking up on them? Probably not, unless they have like an amazing pure white ghillie suit and they're really, really good at moving slow. And even then, it's wide open. Now, go stand out here before the lights turn on and it's dark. And you know what? People could probably sneak up on you. There's less visibility. We're used to electricity. We're used to power. We're used to being able to go into the bathroom and turn a light switch on. I know that because when we lost power for 20 minutes, my girl screamed like someone fell off a 10-story building. Everybody was immediately in the kitchen. There's no power. There's no power. Having gone through it many times, yeah, I know. It'll come back. What do we do? I'm like, well, it's 10 o'clock. Go to bed. Are we going to freeze? Put a blanket on. You'll be fine. But we're so used to having a flashlight if it's dark. We're so used to turning the lights on that we forget the fear that was out there in the night. When you're sleeping on the plains, you build a fire and you stay close to that fire so hopefully animals don't come close to that fire and have a little bit of a snack. The night is the most dangerous time for us. And it's also the time where we as humans feel like we get away with more because no one sees us. We do. We think we can get away with stuff because it's dark. Well, yeah. Kids egging on cabbage night. Did they do it at noon? Were kids egging houses and toilet papering at noon? Some of them, sure, but most of them, no. They waited until it was dark out. And the thing about night, too, is most of the world goes to sleep. That's when we should be going to sleep unless we're working a third shift. And when we do, that's the time all the distractions are gone. That's the time where you're only left with the voice that's in your head. When you're left in the quiet. And the only person you can not pretend to is right then and there. The rest of the day, you can pretend who you are. You can think life is hunky-dory. You can think you're walking a straight and narrow. But when you're there and it's quiet, it happens. We all been there. Am I a good parent? Am I doing the right thing? Is this right? Am I doing a Christian life? Does anybody know what a horrible person I really am? And I say that for me. We all have stuff we don't want other people to know. But when we lay there at night, he says, I remember the character of God. I remember that despite these things that are running through mine, despite the chaos, despite the things that cause me fear, I know who my God is. I know his character. And I am just as comfortable in the night as I am in the day because I know who God is. And I know his love. And I have his freedom. He says, this I have because I kept thy precept. This is mine because I remembered thy word. This is mine because I had already established this. This is mine because I already spent time. This is mine because I didn't buy an aquarium and just throw a fish into it. This is mine because I prepared. I did it right. I established the habitation. I put the stone in there right. I made sure the water going into it was right. I made sure I had the right plants, the right food, the right animals. I made sure that the tank was established. I made sure that I hid your word in my heart. I made sure that I was praying. I made sure that I was seeking your face so that when all these things come, I wasn't scrambling. I was listening to a podcast this week, and one of the phrases stuck out is, no one ever rises to the occasion. They fall to the highest point they've ever gotten to. If you haven't put in the work, you're not all of a sudden going to be Superman. If you've never... Well, how'd you guys do on that pop quiz? How many got that 100 for 100, right? What if we were to revisit that? Animal I opened the lesson with. Fish. Main text, Psalms 119. What caused hope was the word of the Lord. What book and chapter do we talk in Eightfold Ministry? Ephesians 6. And what is our pilgrimage? Our pilgrimage is our life here. A lot easier when we went through the material, isn't it? When life throws questions at us, it's a lot easier when we've already spent time studying the material. When tough questions are asked of us, we don't have to memorize responses, and it says, you don't have to remember how to respond. You need to get into my word, and I'll tell you what words to use, but you need to get in here. You want hope. You want comfort. You want to stay with the law when everything else buffets you. You want songs in your life. Do you want all of this? Then we have to already establish it. We already have to have that word ingrained. That servant didn't start off with, Lord, give me these words because I'm in a crisis right now. But it's, remember the words unto thy servant. See, he had already buried that in his heart. And that's what gave him hope. That hope of waiting for something to be fulfilled, if you don't know what's going to be fulfilled, how could you possibly hope for it? Right? Here's an example. If someone was going to walk outside and have a brand new vehicle with a bow and it was going to be 100% theirs, who would be excited about that? Right? Now, if I said, ZAIN, it's yours when you walk outside, do you have a hope that when you walk outside, there would be a vehicle? Right? You would expect it. But if no one told you it was there, would you expect anything other than, maybe I can get my parents to let me play some Xbox today? Right? That might be your expectation. We don't know what to expect if we're not in His Word. We don't know what to fall back on unless we're in His Word. We don't know how to make it through those afflictions, both with comfort and being alive, unless we have already put in necessary work ahead of time. You can't remember something that you never knew in the first place. I wish there was a silver bullet, don't you? I really do. Well, if you take this, oh, I know everything I need to know now. Well, I got the Bible app, okay. How useful was that me when I forgot the 2 references today? Not very, was it? Yeah, but I got the whole Bible on this one, and I got 3 or 4 versions on my phone, and yeah, but I have 17 Bibles. Yeah, but those bindings are pristine. You could probably sell those as mint condition. I'd rather not sell it, and I'd rather it be falling apart at the seams, because that means I got into it. And that word has gone from just being something I carry around to something I live by. Something that guides my life. Something that dictates my steps. Something that provides that hope and that comfort. So I close this lesson with this thought. You can't remember if you never learned. Brother Steve, if you would please pray dismissal.